What's up, your boy for another reaction? In today's video, we have Getting Away with Murder in Dubai by Trap University. Make sure to comment, subscribe, and let's get into it.
So, a very wealthy crypto scammer and his wife were found encased in concrete in the desert about an hour and a half outside of Dubai, and the people responsible were able to flee the country. And that was recent, but there's a lot more. Like when someone got stabbed to death outside of a nightclub, and it seems like the police were so focused on the wrong suspects that the actual perpetrators possibly got away, and so on. So let me explain something. The UAE is very safe, but from all the research I've done on the UAE to make these videos, I started to think that ethnicity played a role in the punishment you received, like an Emirati will receive a lighter sentence than a foreigner charged with the same crime. But no, it seems to be completely fair, in the sense that once you're in the courtroom, whether you're actually guilty or not, you have a 50-50 chance of getting away with a serious crime or being punished to the maximum extent of the law for a less serious crime. Like for instance, in 2019, 8 Nigerians were sentenced to death for a series of ATM and currency exchange robberies.
What?
And they were also accused of threatening and roughing up staff members. But they were not accused of murder, attempted murder, or even causing serious bodily harm. And they got the death sentence. But then, a man who owned a phone store in Dubai was tied up by his cousin and robbed. Only, his cousin forgot to remove the thing that was covering his mouth, so he died. There were 4 guys. The main 2 only got 10 years. Another guy got 3 years, and the cousin got 5. For a robbery that led to a death. But all of them were foreigners and faced deportation when they're released. But you see, 2 different cases involving foreigners. One of them seems like it should have carried a 10-year sentence, and the one you think would carry a death sentence actually resulted in everyone being free by 2032. So you get it, the justice system is questionable, like anywhere. And at best, either way, you should avoid it no matter what. But what does that mean? Well, it means that when something heinous like murder happens, it's either a domestic dispute or an actual planned out assassination. So, Roman Novak. Roman was living in Dubai with his wife after leaving Russia following a prison sentence he did for fraud and embezzlement. But according to multiple sources, Roman defrauded investors out of somewhere around $500 million. And he and his wife definitely appeared to be living well. On October 2nd, 2025, one of possibly 9 men lured Novak and his wife to a resort in Hatta, a mountainous area about an hour and a half away from the city. And this was under the guise of an investment opportunity. But at some point, Novak was ordered to hand over access to one of his crypto wallets. The kidnappers were expecting $1 billion fortune, but the wallet Novak gave him access to was empty. And the kidnappers didn't find this amusing at all. And I assume that Roman Novak purposely gave these guys an empty wallet because he assumed that the worst they could do is beat him. Well, in fact, he and his wife were both executed. They were forced to watch each other as it happened. They were placed into bags.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Which then had concrete poured over them. And, according to a Russian news outlet, the kidnappers likely did get access to the actual crypto wallet, and they stole all of his money anyway. 7 people were arrested in connection with the crime in Russia, including a former Russian cop. Now for this next case, we have to go back to 2018. But since we're here, we might as well cover the story of Jessica Douquez. Now this is a bit different. It is technically someone getting away, but just not in the way you might think. Jessica had been working in the UAE for about 3 years, but she got off to a bad start when her first employer tried to sexually assault her, but she quit and worked a few more jobs while working part-time as a housemaid. So by December 2014, she was hired by a police officer in the Abu Dhabi region to clean his house. And that's when the officer held her at knife point and tried to sexually assault her. She got a hold of the knife and defended herself, fatally wounding the officer in the process. And despite claiming self-defense, she was found guilty of murder in May and sentenced to death. This, of course, caused outrage, especially in groups that seek justice.
What the fuck, Dubai?
For immigrants in foreign countries. And even the Filipino president stepped in. And it took 3 years, but the appeals court actually decided to acquit her of murder. They did, however, still find her guilty of stealing a phone, which she got 5 years for, but in 2018, she was released and even got to meet President Duterte. But this next one is a bit confusing. And before we start, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, I'm just reading paperwork. So, in February 2014, a waiter at a nightclub in the Dubai Grand Hotel said that when he was leaving work at the club, he was headed toward the parking section when he heard a fight, and he came face to face with 3 men involved in a fight because one of them stabbed him in the thigh. He recognized the 3 men because previously they were disturbing customers inside the club. So one man says 3 guys came out to attack his friend Ishmael. He tried to help, but when they pulled out a knife, he ran and took a taxi home. Meanwhile, Ismail was fatally injured. Police quickly tracked down and arrested a trio, and according to the National, who reported on the incident a few months after it happened, the police said that the suspects were on drugs when they got caught. Now, the prosecutors say that all three of their stories mostly lined up regarding what happened that night. They said they had some drinks, saw a fight, and left. But when asked what car they drove to the club in, all three men described a different car. A very strange thing to not have the same answer on. The car.
Look at the police. Look at these niggas' cars. Look at the Dubai police cars. A fucking Bugatti, Ferrari, gang, a Aston Martin. Like what the?
You came to the club in. Now, all three pled not guilty and had the same lawyer, Saeed Al-Ghalani. Saeed questioned how something like this could happen in an open-air parking lot and not have any other witness than the waiter, and he had a point. This attack happened on a busy strip after midnight on a Saturday night. There should have been more witnesses, but to be fair, the strip looks a lot different now than it did in 2014, so I guess there's a chance that it was a little less busy than I imagined. And he also argued that some of the footage being used as evidence showed a stabbing in the underground parking garage, but the body was found above ground in the parking lot outside. The footage also shows the attackers wearing kanduras, a traditional Emirati garment, but the three men were wearing Western attire. And he also said that no medical evidence was ever found to suggest that his clients attacked anyone. So, in September 2018, after 4 years, the trio was acquitted in a Dubai court. The lawyer's argument and the inconsistent CCTV footage makes a good argument for the trio, and if the police did track them on camera like they said, then they must have noticed what they were wearing. But for them to say something in court that would contradict the footage doesn't make any sense. So, it's possible that these men truly were innocent, and the waiter's testimony was weak, but if that's the case, who were the men in the kanduras? If the police butchered this investigation, then that means 3 men got away with murder in court, or 3 men got away without being suspected, which resulted in 3 other men being framed, and to my knowledge, the court hasn't gone back on this decision, and at this point, it's a cold case. But when the princess accuses the ruler of murder, this is one of those cases where we'll probably never get the full story. So before
I think I've seen her face before. I think I heard about her story.
Ruler of Dubai took over, his brother was in charge, and his brother, Sheikh Maktoum, married a much younger woman, Bushra. But she died shortly after her husband, under unknown circumstances in her 30s. But Princess Latifa, daughter of the current ruler, says that her father had Bushra murdered because he didn't like her behavior and he felt threatened by the way she would talk.
After my uncle died, he killed one of his wives. He killed her. Everyone knows about it. The Moroccan one. Her behavior was too outrageous. She was too... I think she just talked too much and he felt threatened by her, so he just killed her.
And it's not really clear what she did, aside from when she separated from her husband and moved to London, and then was kidnapped and forced back to Dubai. And by the way, Princess Latifa is famous for her attempted escapes of the kingdom. So the old ruler had a problematic wife, and when the sheikh died, the current ruler ascended the throne. And a short time after, Bushra suddenly died, at age 34, with no cause of death given. But when Latifa was making her final escape plan, she also made a video giving us a rare insight into the royal family, where numerous times she mentioned how her father had no problem having people killed, and that he only cared about his reputation.
He only cares about his image, his reputation, and he will gladly kill somebody. He doesn't do the dirty work himself. He'll just get other people to do it. He doesn't care.
And then she directly blames him for the, quote, murder of her uncle's wife from Morocco. And what she describes in the video is the gilded cage royals live in under her father. And the current ruler being accused of kidnapping and such is nothing new. One of his ex-wives, Princess Haya, also accused him of kidnapping her daughters. And I'm pretty sure the only thing that saved her is the fact that she wasn't just some younger woman the ruler married. Her brother is the king of Jordan. And the death of Bushra was almost 20 years ago. And it happened in 2007. The only reason that many people know Latifa's story is because it happened around 2018. But it's clear we'll never get the full story. The best we have is the testimony of an insider source, shedding some light on the situation. But honestly, as the head of state, legally speaking, you have a lot of control over whether certain people live or die. And when that head of state is also in an absolute monarchy, well, that control applies to pretty much everyone. But let me know if there were any special cases that you guys thought I should have mentioned, or let me know if you've ever even heard of these cases. Either way, that's all I got for now. I appreciate you guys for your love and support. Make sure you tune in for the live streams.
That's crazy. Make sure to come subscribe and introduce to this. That's crazy. That Russian one though, the Russian dudes that got fucking and his wife that got killed, that probably was the Russian mob or some jealous or something and wanted crypto over cryptocurrency. Like what the fuck?